just wanted to talk about watch collecting. Now, if you've been involved with other type of collecting activities such as coins, etc., you may not necessarily be familiar with watches. Now, watches, also referred to as timepieces, there's a lot of factors that come into play with these, and it's easy to go into a store and look at Swiss watches for your first time and pick out one because it's on sale, thinking it's going to be a great investment, and that's often not the case. Now, these are just my opinions, and they're not considered a recommendation to buy or sell a watch, of course. But from my experience, what I've found is that sticking with the big brands is likely the best. The brands that closely control the price and distribution of their pieces. And one of those that immediately comes to mind, whether you like their timepieces or not, is Rolex. And the reason being is that they have a strict network of authorized dealers that sell their timepieces, and Rolex keeps tight control on the annual price increase of those watches. And that's what makes it so good, because typically across the board, and the percentage varies, but just one of the most popular models, for example, look at a Rolex Submariner. A lot of people may call it Submariner, but it's actually pronounced Submariner. That's a timeless piece. You can run a price check for it throughout the past 15 or 20 years, and you can see how much annually the price of that has increased. So at a high level, what I mean here is that you get quality pieces, just using the Rolex Submariner as an example, that have annual increases. The value of that in used condition a few years down the road is likely going to exceed the price of that same timepiece new. So in other words, in theory, someone can likely buy it and then 3 or 4 or 5 years later sell it and make a profit. So that's what makes these timepieces such a great collectible as an investment. Now, Rolex isn't the only one. There's a lot of other ones out there. Now, some of these fly-by-night Swiss watch manufacturers, they may not be that popular in the eyes of collectors. So even though it's a great piece, it's well made, it's got another thing to keep in mind is in-house movement. Now, in-house movement, all of Rolexes are in-house, except I think they may have used somebody else for their Daytona model at one time. But the in-house movement is a big selling point. So Rolex is known for that. Also, chronometer, COSC certified chronometer. Now, all of your Rolexes are going to be COSC certified chronometers. And at a high level, what that means is that it passed a stringent series of tests performed by the COSC Institute to confirm whether or not the timepiece meets or exceeds certain criteria before it hits the shelf on the authorized dealer, within the authorized dealer viewing cabinet, in the storefront. So that's a big thing. Now, and I know I keep mentioning Rolex, but there's some other brands out there that can be really solid for investments. And the ones that come to mind, it's the Trinity. You've got your Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, and your Audemars Piguet. Now, all three of those, they're basic models in there. Now, those three brands are through the roof right now from a price perspective, but they continue to appreciate. But you stick to the timeless look. And just that Submariner is an example. I mean, a lot of people have Submariners. It's not necessarily the most, oh, dude, you got a Submariner. It's not the most, awesome thing to have on your wrist. But from a historical perspective of continuing to increase in value annually, it's done a really excellent job doing that. So, stick to those timeless pieces. Don't go for these new pieces that have all these special type metals like carbon fiber and all of that. Stick to the basic, your basic stainless bracelet and or maybe a leather strap or whatever, and stick to the classic designs on those pieces. Another brand I didn't mention earlier is Jaeger-LeCoultre, and they make a lot of nice pieces as well. And again, they're an in-house movement. Now, Omega is a really good watch brand as well, but their resale isn't as strong. But Omega recently switched to an in-house movement as well. Prior to that, they were using modified ETA movements. And there's nothing wrong with ETA movements, and you can research this further on your own, but ETA at a high level is a generic type movement that various watch brands will use in their pieces, and they may dress it up a little bit. but it's not considered an in-house movement. And that's your big thing when you're dealing with investment timepieces. Most all of them that should really appreciate and value annually are those that have in-house movements. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you gathered some useful knowledge from it. And I welcome your feedback. Ask any questions that you want. I'll do my best to answer. And feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. It's youtube.com/IRIXGuy. Y'all have a good day, mate. I'm going to walkabout.